Sam Shoemaker wrote a poem, I Stand by the Door. I liken this poem to being the church. I stand by the door. I neither go too far in nor stay too far out. The door is the most important door in the world. It is the door through which men walk when they find God. There's no use my going way inside and staying there when so many are still outside. And they, as much as I, crave to know where the door is. And all that so many ever find is only the wall where a door ought to be. They creep along the wall like blind men with outstretched, groping hands, feeling for a door, knowing there must be a door. Yet they never find it. So I stand by the door. The most tremendous thing in the world is for men to find that door, the door that leads to God. The most important thing any man can do is to take hold of one of those blind, groping hands and put it on the latch that only clicks and opens to the man's own hand. Men die outside that door, as starving beggars die on cold nights in cruel cities in the dead of winter. They die for want of what is within their grasp. They live on the other side of that door. They live to find it. Nothing else matters compared to helping them find the door and open it and walk in it and find Him. So I stand by the door. Go in, great saints, go all the way in. Go way down into the cavernous cellars and way up into the spacious attics, into the vast roomy house, this house where God is. Go into the deepest of hidden casements of withdrawal, of silence, of sainthood. Some must inhabit those inner rooms and know the depths and the heights of God, and then call outside to the rest of us how wonderful it is inside. Sometimes I take a deeper look in. Sometimes I venture a little farther in, but my place seems to be a little closer to the opening. So I stand by the door. The people too far in do not see how near some are to leaving. Those too far in seem preoccupied with the wonder of it all. Somebody must watch for those who have just entered the door but would like to run away. So for them too, I stand by the door. I admire the people who go way in, but I wish they would not forget how it was before they got in. Then they would be able to help the people who have not even found the door, or the people who want to run away again from God. You can go too deeply in, and you can stay too long, and you can forget the people outside the door. As for me, I shall take my old accustomed place, near enough to God to hear Him and know He is there, but not so far from men as not to hear them and remember they are there too. Where? Outside the door. Thousands of them, millions of them, billions of them. But more important for me, one of them. 2 of them, 10 of them, whose hands I am intended to put on the latch. So I shall stand by the door and wait for those who seek it. I had rather be a doorkeeper. So I stand by the door.
Got these for like $7 or something a case, like less than $8 a case. All right, well. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here, we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. And then it kind of suggests like a meditation there. So, in thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here, we ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought or decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. It's like that is the meditation. I think that it's suggesting. I find this difficult to do. I find it very difficult to just do these like simple suggestions. And then after, yeah. It says we usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be. that we begin given whatever we need to take care of such problems. We ask especially for freedom from self will and are careful to make no request for ourselves only. Uh, we may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that, and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. That's it's a hard practice to break out of. I think the praying for oneself. Even like I can even find myself like praying to be relieved of the bondages of self, um, so that I don't feel selfish. And excuse me, and that's like it's like a thing that um, it can be like um, another way that the self gets at the self. The thing, like, it kind of boils down to is this: I don't know how to. How do I, in my imagination, there are men that can be forthright and calm and confident, not in themselves, the grace and mercy and power of God. And that is a defining attribute of them. And those men are the kind of guys that people can come to rely upon. And in my mind's eye, they are consistent and um, graceful isn't the right word. I'm thinking of like just like automatic. Like this is a part of their nature. And there's a fierce masculinity about them, but there's also this sweet gentleness about them. They don't whine. They don't complain. Perhaps they do suffer. They must suffer, but I don't know. I don't see them doing that. But I know they do. And you know that they know things. You know that they're the kind of men that know, but don't have to tell you that they do. I am not one of these men. Though I wish that I was. Like genuinely, I genuinely wish that I was one of these men. I do aim to be them. And perhaps they don't really, I don't know, they must exist. Hmm. Yeah, they don't pray for themselves, except that how they might be useful to others. I think that'd be the prayer. If circumstances warrant, we asked our wives or friends to join us in morning meditation. If we belong to a religious denomination which requires a definite morning devotion, we attend to this also. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles we have been discussing. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister, or rabbi. Be quick to see where religious people are right. Make use of what they offer. This is the St. Francis prayer. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love, that where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness, that where there is discord, I may bring harmony, that where there is error, I may bring truth, that where there is doubt, I may bring faith, that where there is despair, I may bring hope, that where there are shadows, I may bring light, that where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds. It is by giving that one is forgiven. It is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. Amen. That sounds more like the kind of man that I'm thinking of this morning. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful. We ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. Humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. Man, I wish that I had that like as an automatic response to my suffering, my petty suffering. It's often petty. It's like, and that's just the way that I am. I wish that God make me less petty, please. Thy will not mine be done, because like that pettiness is, that is the automatic. It seems to be the automatic default position of my of who I seem to be often. It's like when we were kids, we would play, tag, or, yeah. And there would be like safety, like safe base, or there was another name for it, but it was like a place that you could touch or stand where you wouldn't be tagged, like it didn't count. That's an insight there. How do I go there in my everyday life as a grown man, or as somebody who looks like a grown man? Thy will be done. Thy will be done. Thy will be done. Thy will be done. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. I like that they have these different kinds of tributaries to self, towards the manifestation, or the way it presents merely from self excitement. Like in the excitement, there's grandiosity. And oftentimes it's like the dangers of excitement are rooted in self. Obviously, I can be excited, and it doesn't say never to be excited. It says we are then in much less danger of excitement. We are in much less danger of fear. Fear is a thing that comes, it is inevitable, I think. Even the men in my mind's eye who live like a saint, like saints, they too have fear. Um, the danger. What is the danger of fear? The danger of fear, as in with everything, is that I will be the manager of these situations. I will be the one um, who rights the wrongs. I will be I will be the mechanic. It's the me that will do this. Um, worry. Yeah, again, it's worry is interesting. What's the difference between worry and fear? That's interesting. Never thought of that. Why did my dog just bark? 4:49. Okay. Much. What the difference between fear and worry? Hmm. Maybe fear is like more of a constant background, just an emanating spirit that, or like uh, 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 yeah, then maybe worry is like to worry. Maybe worry is more of an imaginative world building spirit that um, it's often obviously accompanied by both excitement and fear. Self pity. Well, if you don't know what that is, I don't know how to help you. Self pity is pitiful, pitful. Um, Self pity. It's kind of a lazy thing, isn't it? It's like laden with justifiable excuses for bad behavior. It's like in some cases, self pity. If it wasn't self pity, it might be like compassion from somebody else, right? It might be um, like a peaceful uh, prayer of healing for somebody's suffering. But self pity is like the manifestation um, of like a despairing. resentment that amplifies the often the wounds of the past in very subtle ways. And it's like a scab that never fully goes away. And in some sense, there's a currency involved with it too. Like it can be a this kind of like it's like praying to yourself that you will heal yourself, and yet the God within you that you're praying to, that the God of selfishness, refuses to answer your prayer, so you curse that God, and it's like you're stuck in a loop. That's self-pity. Foolish decisions. It's there's a willful blindness that goes along with foolish decisions. So a decision is the conscious act of cutting something out. So and then following that conscious act with a behavior, a lived expression. So a foolish decision is when you say maybe cut out some what would be a wise manner of living, or a wise maybe what someone called the right thing to do, and fail to do that right thing and do what the fool would do. Now, what is a fool? Interesting. Let me look that up. What is a fool? Excuse me. Excuse me. Where's my etymology online? Oh, here we go. Fool. A noun from the early 13th century. The origin and history of fool, silly, stupid, or ignorant person, madman, insane person, idiot, rogue, jester. Also, blacksmith's bellows. Blacksmith's bellows. What is that now? Also an adjective meaning mad or insane, from the 12th century modern French. F-O-U, foul. From medieval Latin, folus, which means foolish, Latin folus. Bellows, leather bag. To blow, swell. The sense evolution probably is from vulgar Latin use of phallus in a sense of windbag, empty-headed person. Insane. Windy, inflated with wind. Puffed cheeks, a buffoon. Also from used in Middle English, late 13th century, sinner, rascal, impious person, jester, court, clown. So yes, foolish decisions. Yeah. So yeah. Read that paragraph again. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful. We ask God for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. Running the show is from early in the, I mean, obviously it's a, what would you call that? A colloquium or something? It's yeah, but it's also from the earlier part of the literature here where it talks about an actor who is constantly trying to run the show, the lights, the ballet, the scenery, the rest of the players. And he's sure that if everybody played their parts as he wished, that they, including himself, would be they would be satisfied. And so it's this kind of like calcified calcified, principled, self-centered misproportioned perception of oneself and that self in the world. And from that stem all forms of spiritual disease or dis-ease or mistakes or however you would like to. So as we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask God for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. Why are we constantly reminding ourselves? Is because I'm constantly trying to run the whole show. Humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. Efficient? Let's look that word up. Etymology of efficient. Efficient from the late 14th century, making, producing immediate effect, active, effective, efficient, to work out, accomplish. So out, to do, to, so meaning productive, skilled. So a coefficient is that which unites inaction with something else to produce a given effect. So, yeah. So if, in other words, if somehow I'm able to actually pull this off where I can actually step back and actually become the man that relies upon his God. As I go through the day, I pause when agitated or doubtful. So that's like an instruction. When I become agitated or doubtful, I pause. And then I ask God for the right thought or action. And I think if I'm honest, I will get the right thought or action. And I'm constantly reminding myself that I'm no longer running the show because I'm constantly trying to run the show. Hopefully, humbly saying to myself many times each day, God, thy will be done. Thy will, not mine, be done. It might be another way of saying too, I am then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. I become much more efficient. In other words, what am I trying to be efficient in? In trying to live in a manner which is an expression of his will, or rather, aligning my will with God's will, whatever that seems to be. And I mean, again, if I'm honest about this, this isn't like rooted in like theological arguments. It's just like it's that's why this must be lived rather than theorized, because it doesn't find its full expression in the theory, right? I think real theory or like really wrestling with, I mean, that's why we're doing this. It's like I have to kind of if I'm paying attention and if I'm honest, I'll know when I'm bumping up against the common manifestations of self, the things that I'm using or utilizing to maintain me at all costs, so that I don't feel pain and suffering. I don't feel abandonment by God. I don't feel, it's all this kind of self bullshit. It's so hard to, I'm really, the difficulty about the theorizing is like, I'm not stupid. Like, I know this stuff, and yet I do not have the power to, like through mere thought and contemplation, enact a proper expression of being in the world just by changing my mind about this stuff or thinking real hard about it, or you know what I'm saying? It's like I like this is I constantly have to try to be living this. The wise and gentle and humble masculine men that I'm thinking of in my mind, they live this. They make mistakes. And when they make mistakes, they write those mistakes. But they are deeply connected. I think they are consciously rooted in I think they like they hold on to his garment and not let go. And then it says, so yeah, we do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. I'll read that again. Thy will be done. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. Seems to be that's a very powerful sentence. Seems to be the antithesis of how I want to be living, right? I do not want to be the kind of man that's trying to arrange life to suit myself. That's like the opposite of the life that I want to be living. And yet that seems to be my default position. And when I'm honest about that, and am I the man who at default is trying to arrange my life to suit myself? The answer to that question is yes. Are my problems rooted in that? Yes. I think every problem I have is rooted in that idea where I'm trying to arrange my life to suit myself. Is that true or not? So it says it works. It really does. We are undisciplined. So we let God discipline us in the simple way that we have just outlined. The simple way that they just outlined is, yeah, it's very simple. I don't know why anybody would say, well, that's like, I think you can honestly probably, I don't know, maybe this is, yeah. I think you can come from any tradition or background. And if you actually, this doesn't compete with what your tradition or background is probably trying to show you how to live. This is not antithetical to whatever tradition or background, spiritual or whatever, or religious is coming from. This doesn't, I don't think, clash with that. Probably, I'm that's a strong guess, but I'm guessing that's probably true. So we are undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in the simple way that we have just outlined. Seems rather true. It says, but that's not all. There is action and more action. Faith without works is dead. Works without faith is also dead. The next chapter is entirely devoted to practicing spiritual principles that we've just talked about. All right. I think that I am done with that. So I guess now I can do this. Perhaps I can read if somebody wants to come, you're welcome, and I'm going to put the thing there. I can also go read about the actor more too if you want. Being convinced that we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood Him. Just what do we mean by that, and just what do we do? So, the first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. On that basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. Most people like to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. If his arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as he wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. In trying to make these arrangements, our actor may sometimes be quite virtuous. He may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest or self-sacrificing. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But as with most humans, he is more likely to have varied traits. What usually happens? The show doesn't come off very well. He begins to think life doesn't treat him right. He decides to exert himself more. He becomes, on the next occasion, still more demanding or gracious as the case may be. Still, the play does not suit him. Admitting that he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that other people are more to blame. He becomes angry, indignant, self-pitying. What is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker, even when trying to be kind? Is he not a victim of the delusion that he can wrestle satisfaction and happiness out of this world if he only manages well? Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things he wants? And do not his actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Is he not, even in his best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony? Our actor is self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. He is like the retired businessman who lolls in the Florida sunshine in the winter, complaining of the sad state of the nation. The minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century. Politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave. The outlaw safecracker who thinks society has wronged him, and the alcoholic who has lost it all and is locked up. Whatever our protestations are not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, or our self-pity? Selfishness and self-centeredness. Selfishness, self-centeredness. That, we think, is the root of our troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity, we step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us, seemingly without provocation. But we invariably find that at some time in the past, we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves. And the alcoholic is the extreme example of self-will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we must be rid of this selfishness. We must, or it kills us. God makes that possible. And there often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without his aid. Many of us have had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but we could not live up to them even though we would have liked to. Neither could we reduce our self centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We had to have God's help. This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal. We are his agents. He is the father. We are his children. And most good ideas are simple. And this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we passed to freedom. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer. Being all powerful, he provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. We were now at step 3. Many of us said to our Maker, as we understood him, God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thy will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. We thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready, that we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to him. We found it very desirable to take this spiritual step with an understanding person, such as our wife, best friend, or spiritual advisor. But it is better to meet God alone than with one who might misunderstand. The wording was, of course, quite optional so long as we expressed the idea, voicing it without reservation. This was only a beginning, though if honestly and humbly made, an effect, sometimes a very great one, was felt at once. Well, I guess nobody wants to come in, so I don't know what else to say. Have a great Friday. Oh, here we go. Good morning, Mr. Howard.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, I'm echoing. Yeah. Here we go. I've enjoyed. What book are you reading from? That's been very good.
It's a 12-step book.
It's a 12-step book. Okay. Well, I got the drift of that. Okay.
It's the basic text.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
They have a lot of books. I've noticed that in your education of me. They have a lot of books.
It's the first one. It's the namesake.
Okay. Yeah, the self-examination thing. You can like be overly hard on yourself too, or you're overly involved in like, am I making the right step? And it can actually be kind of narcissistic. Now, I'm not saying I'm saying it's like that can happen in my head. And so there's also the part that I really liked was the, your will be done, because then it's more direct and it doesn't because focusing on me not doing it right is just another focus on me, and so this to completely take my face off of that and say
Mhm.
him instead, that helps me a lot.
Yeah, it's
You were talking
interesting
about the
because I could be
fool
the
in here.
kind
My thing I do every day is just get on there and just like spout, it's like windbag. Yeah, I'll put my hand up for that one.
of the danger for somebody like me is to have that kind of intuition that you're talking about. Is I could be self-centered in trying to correct my self-centeredness, and so then what'll happen is I maybe like give myself a pass and not trying to do this. And the problem is I start to mix up what this is and what this actually is trying to seek God to correct my self-centeredness, not seeking self to self-correct my self-centeredness. And so,
Right.
but and that's it's
Good.
tricky, and it's like I think I'd rather be trying to if let's be honest, if I was actually somebody who was actually doing this every day in a way that was like, let's say, obsessive, that would be a step up. But I'm the kind of guy where I'll go months without even reading this. or the evening review, and then I'm just kind of like slipping back into kind of more self-justified means of uh, self, 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 you know. So, yeah, but I liked reading that because it's a really it's a really good reminder. I sometimes I wonder how this guy wrote this stuff because he wasn't a writer. He was just stock a failed stockbroker. You know,
Yeah.
kind of amazing to me.
It sounds like he had tried a lot of this and been around that track a number of times to notice these things. And he probably got help from others. I don't
Yeah,
know,
he did.
review of other people, and yeah.
He did. So sometimes I think if he wrote this at 10 years, or he wouldn't have wrote it if he was 10 years sober. That because he was only about 4 or 5 years sober, that he still had enough ego in him and ambition to just enough to get him to, because nobody else would do it. So he's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. You know, 5 years in, 5 years in is like astonishing that it's mind blowing to me, really. That's why people often say they feel that this is a divinely inspired, deeply divinely inspired literature.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
Now, had he, these people have like a lot of had lived through the legal prohibition period too, right?
Yeah,
Is that the right calendar or the way to look at it? So they had actually been in the situation where this was an external force to make them stop, and the biggest hammer didn't work, and
no.
so they had a really interesting experience that we're kind of more on the other side, where we have like this tremendous vista of liberty in our current culture where you can do anything, and
Oh man.
and then it's all up to each person to figure it out themselves.
And those are the that tremendous vista of cascading liberty is like rooted in self expression, I think.
Yeah.
It certainly doesn't seem to be rooted in honest expression of other centeredness. Um, but yeah, so this book was self published and released in 1939. So I think 20. I don't know when the
prohibition was repealed
prohibition
and all
exactly
that.
was.
Yeah, I think that was the
Yeah.
late 20s and early 30s, so 10 years later, something like that.
Yeah. One of the guys, the kind of the number two guy was, he writes about that. He was a proctologist, and he wrote about during that time. He would just write his own prescription because you could write prescription for alcohol.
Oh,
So
okay.
he was, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go. I don't want need me to stop doing what you're doing, but I'm gonna go fill my spot. So thanks for letting me
Perfect
on.
timing. Thank you, Chris. Hey, man, thank you so much for all you're doing. God bless and have a great day.
Oh, you too.
Well, I don't know about the meaning crisis, left, right, black, white, or other vices. Which Jesus Christ is right, or if we're all saved. From my perspective, our propositions participate procedurally, running in circles. Remember in body, we're in the age of decay. Symbolically speaking, the reapers are reaping, them damn egregores are whispering sweetly. We're all NPCs in the belly of the beast. Red pill, blue pill, bread pill, Mars Hill, or DMT, or whatever you feel. Got one and number two, it's all the same damn thing. So clean your room, repent on Zoom, ontology for dummies, a bird's eye view. 'Cause if you really knew, could you really even say? Totally depraved, all totally saved. A total disposition from the bed we all made. Or is it the elect? Or are we just insane? From John Vervaeke to Jonathan Pajot and Jordan Peterson to the Chris Pacou Show. Paul Vanderklays and Griswold Grimm and all the dice he shakes. This estuary ditty is a little bit cringy, ain't quite the U-shaped or the hero's journey. All the NPCs in the flood treading water to watch you save the day with a bunch of chitter-chatter. From the ortho bros to the Catholic Joes, or atheistic Jobs, to Protestant folks, the Joe Schmoes, and Jewish Jacobs, and everything in between. So love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, with all your mind and your fingers and toes, all your neighbors too, as if they were your own. So love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, and with all your mind and your fingers and toes, all your neighbors too, as if they were your